Hi, everybody. It's quite a beautiful day, and we're hoping for some kind of a good outcome in the House. At this time, we don't have any reason to believe we're going to get that good outcome, but there's plenty of time left. People are anxious to go on their little breaks over there. My message to them is stay here in behalf of the thousands of businesses and the millions of workers who are counting on you over there, House members, to do the right thing. And what is the right thing? It is to take and pass the Senate bipartisan bill. As you know by now, passed the Senate with 74 to 22, and Senator Lautenberg that day happened to be at a funeral, if he were there, with 75. So it's a rare day that we have that kind of bipartisanship. I just spoke to Senator Inhofe on the phone, and he, as I am, he is very, very anxious to see them take up and pass the Senate bill. Now, there's a very, very easy way for them to do that. It's so easy. Talk to the Democrats. Work with the Democrats. They are ready to do that over there. Do what we did here in the Senate. Reach across party lines and get this done for the American people. People are holding their breath about this. We have a little construction truck behind us and workers behind us who know what it means to take home a paycheck and who know what it means to struggle, because the unemployment rate in the construction sector is over 15%, and we could fill up 14 Super Bowl stadiums with unemployed construction workers, 1.4 million. We need to put people to work in this country doing things that need to be done. We have 70,000 bridges that are deficient. They're dangerous. They could collapse at any moment, while our friends in the House fiddle and dither. And all of this is at stake. The safety of our people, the fact that we're an economy that is strong and needs to get stronger, and you can't have a stronger economy if the infrastructure is falling apart, and all these workers and businesses that are counting on the House to do the right thing. It is not too late, and our message to Speaker Boehner is, do your job. You're not Speaker of the Republicans, you're Speaker of the House. Talk to the Democrats, the Independents, the Republicans. Do what Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell did here in the United States Senate. Now, yesterday I was giving you some examples of what's happening across the country because of the prospect of extensions as opposed to a bill. And I have more states. So I'll tell you the state and how many jobs right now are not being filled because of this terrible situation in the House. North Carolina, 41,000 jobs not being filled. Nevada, 4,000 jobs. Maryland, 4,000 jobs. Michigan, 3,500 jobs. Rhode Island, 1,000. West Virginia, 1,200 jobs. New Hampshire, 1,800 jobs. And Illinois just came in, 4,500 jobs. Now, these are coming into us after discussions with the heads of the transportation officials. Now, history is being made by the House. Very bad, bad, bad history. Because if they go forward with a long extension, such as a 90-day extension or even a 60-day extension, and they don't fill the Highway Trust Fund, the Highway Trust Fund is going broke, and the funds need to be placed into it. They will go down in history if they continue on this course as the first House of Representatives that passed a long extension and didn't fill the trust fund. What happened to fiscal conservatism over there? What happened to pay-as-you-go over there? So all of this angst that I'm exhibiting here today, because of my concern for workers and businesses, not just in my home state, but all across this country, can be alleviated by a very simple thing. The Speaker could put the Senate bill up for a vote and allow people to vote their conscience. We already have 6 House members, the latest one being Peter King from New York yesterday, who said, if I had the chance, I'd vote for that bill. So, Mr. Boehner, Speaker Boehner, with all due respect, do the right thing for your legacy. Do the right thing for business, for workers, for the economy, for the infrastructure, for bipartisanship. And bring up the Senate bill, that bipartisan bill, and allow it to be voted on. It is a great pleasure for me to turn the microphone over to a great United States Senator who is really an incredible member of the Environment and Public Works Committee, Ben Cardin from Maryland.
Let me thank Senator Boxer for her incredible leadership on this issue. She has been focused on getting this bill done. There is no more important bill that we can act on to help Americans get back to work than this transportation bill. This is the most important act we can do to get Americans back to work and to make our country more competitive and to help our economy. And I congratulate Senator Boxer for her extraordinary leadership on this issue. She said this bill is bipartisan. I just want to go beyond that. This is a consensus bill. The numbers we have on this bill are unprecedented in this Congress for a major bill. It passed the Environment and Public Works Committee that has the jurisdiction over our highway program and bridge program by unanimous vote. It passed the Banking Committee that has jurisdiction over transit by unanimous vote. The other two committees that acted on it reached agreements on the key provisions. This is a consensus bill. This is a bill that is Speaker Boehner put on the floor of the House of Representatives. It will pass. Make no mistake about it. It will pass because it's the right policy for our country. Senator Boxer pointed out the job issues here. You know, they're going to say, okay, why don't we just go for another extension? Well, we're in the construction season. And I talked to my highway people in Maryland as to what the difference is if we do a short-term, say 90-day extension, or we pass the bill that we passed in the Senate. What's the difference? And it's thousands of jobs because the state cannot commit to major projects on a short-term extension. They can't do it. So we have some significant maintenance projects, including bridge repair, that can't go forward if we don't get this bill done. And let me just mention some of the major projects we have in Maryland, like major highway projects on the Eastern Shore and the North-South Highway in Western Maryland, or bridges that really need replacement, or transit systems that need expansion. We have all that in Maryland ready to go, where the state is prepared to move forward, but they need the federal partnership. A short-term extension does not allow us to move forward on any of those issues. So I just really want to underscore the point that Senator Boxer said. We're supposed to go into our district work period. Let's get this done. This is just too important to leave town without passing the long-term reauthorization of the transportation programs, the Senate bill that passed on a consensus in the United States Senate. I urge my colleagues in the House, I urge Speaker Boehner, on behalf of the American people, let's not play partisan politics. Bring the bill up for a vote. We are very confident that it will receive a lot more than 218 votes. It will receive a significant majority of the members of the House if we could just get a vote on it.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Thanks. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
I was just wondering why you think the House isn't moving with either the Senate bill that has such broad support or coming up with their own. Why are they struggling?
The question is, why is the House struggling, and why aren't they taking up the Senate bill? You know, to really understand this, you would have to talk to Speaker Boehner, but let me tell you what I think after speaking with a lot of people over there continually. Speaker Boehner wants to pass a bill with just Republicans. And frankly, that is a real change from history. When I served in the House, Ben served there, I served there for 10 years. I served for most of the time under the speakership of Tip O'Neill. And Tip O'Neill knew when it came to an important bill, he had to get 218. That was the magic number. And I remember he'd come over to us individually and say, hey, Barbara, I need your vote on X bill. I'd say, Mr. Speaker, I really can't do that. It's not so great for my state and my district. It just doesn't work. And he'd say, okay, I'll come back to you if I need you. And then he'd go off and he'd talk to everybody. Then he found out he was 10, 20 votes short on the Democratic side. He'd go over and sit down with Bob Michael. And he'd say, who was the minority leader? And he'd say, Bob, I need 20 of your people to help me get the highway bill through. Let's say it was that. And he'd say, well, I'll get back to you. And he'd get back to Tip and he'd say, I got 18. And then Tip would think, who's the 2? He'd come back to me, let's say, and say, you know, I tried, but I really need you. Think about the bigger picture. And he twisted a bit. And he'd get the votes. He did not have a purity test on votes. He had to get to 218. I think Speaker Boehner doesn't understand he's Speaker of the House. And I say this with great respect for the role that he's supposed to play. But he doesn't appear to be playing that role. Now, when he has 6 Republicans, and they came out by name, 1 from New Hampshire, 2 from Illinois, 1 from New York, and the 5th one was, I can't remember which state. They came out and said, we're going to stand for the Senate bill. We will vote for the Senate bill. And at this stage, he still will not listen. So what Senator Cardin is saying is accurate. We have the votes over there for the Senate bill if the Speaker would let his people go. Let his people go and let them vote their conscience. They care about, a lot of them care about these jobs, but they are going to go down in history as turning away from a national highway system that has been in place since Dwight Eisenhower was president. There isn't one president who didn't strongly support the transportation program since Dwight Eisenhower, whether it was Nixon, Reagan, Carter, Clinton, and the 2 Bushes, and anyone else I may have left out. They have been standing strong, as we do, for this bipartisan bill. He is the first leader in government to turn away from the bipartisanship that surrounds this bill. This is history-making moment in a bad way, in a bad way. And again, let me repeat, every day that there's an extension, every single day there are more jobs lost, more businesses hurt, and the trust fund is going bankrupt at a faster rate.
Can I just add,
Please.
The nation does better when Democrats and Republicans work together. We get policies that can stand the test of time, that won't be changed from one Congress to the next, and we certainly need that in transportation. We don't have a philosophical divide on transportation in America. We don't. So we need both parties working together. That's exactly what we did in the United States Senate. We put the national interest first. And we're asking Speaker Boehner to do the same thing in the House of Representatives. And your question is why he won't do it. I think he is yielding to the partisan problems of his own caucus rather than dealing with the national issues.
And I have to say, his party is moving so far to the right that they're going to fall off a cliff. Let me put it this way. I'm trying to say this in as many ways as I can. Everyone in America pretty much understands you need an infrastructure. You need safe bridges. You need highways. You need roads. And they support this goal for the federal government because we are one nation under God, and we have to make sure that we have a good, strong infrastructure system. The only people who haven't gotten that message are the Republicans in the House. They're out of touch, and they're running out of time. Yeah.
Senator Cardin, you pointed out that Maryland is one of the states that can't move forward with certain infrastructure projects based on a temporary extension. Does that mean we're going to have some slipshod repairs that this truck behind you represents?
The question is, what will this mean as far as moving forward on maintenance projects? The state of Maryland will move forward and do everything it can to make sure bridges don't fall down and roads don't collapse. But quite frankly, they can't do the important major maintenance projects because they don't have the federal partnership commitment to get it done over a longer period of time. The state has a limited capacity. Therefore, they're going to defer issues that they should be moving forward with, including maintenance. And yes, I think it does put safety at risk. I know Maryland will do everything it can to keep the people of Maryland safe. But clearly, the passage of this transportation bill will keep us safer in our transportation maintenance programs. One of the major points that we added to the bill was to make maintenance a major priority in the transportation programs in the nation. Democrats and Republicans said we got to make sure people are safe. That's in this bill. A temporary extension won't get that done.
And the important point is, in the old days, the good old days, when states had a lot of money to spare, they could front these projects for a longer period of time and then count on being reimbursed. Well, there's a couple of things happening now. A lot of states are not flush. They can't move forward and front the money. And secondly, and they look at the shenanigans over at the House, they're wondering if there will ever be an extension, a real long-term reauthorization of these programs. So they're getting very concerned. And that's why North Carolina has not filled 41,000 jobs, that state, because they saw the handwriting on the wall and they don't like it and they're too concerned.
I'll just add one more thing. If you're a state budget director, you have to recognize that the Republican leadership in the House may not pass a bill. We saw the FAA close because an extension was not approved in the House of Representatives. We saw this nation go on the brink of almost defaulting on its debt because of the activities of the House of Representatives. So I think there is a real concern among state leaders of the confidence factor about the Republicans, what they're going to do with transportation. We have a chance to bring that to an end today by the passage of the Senate bill, to give them the confidence they need to move forward, to take the uncertainty out of this. We all pay a high price for uncertainty, and we're doing that in transportation today. It's time we get this done, and it can be done today.
Senator Boxer, have you counted noses over on the House side and the GOP side to see how much support there might be for bringing up the Senate bill?
Well, I don't count noses at the House side, but I will say I've been in touch with Speaker Pelosi, and I have heard 6 Republicans speak out against their own leadership. So there's a lot of movement toward us. You know, we don't need that many of the Republican votes if we get all the Democrats, which we believe we will get. So you could have a very good bipartisan vote over there. The point we're making here, as hard as we can, is that these extensions are not benign. These extensions are dangerous. These extensions mean job losses now. These extensions mean deeper bankruptcy of the Highway Trust Fund now. And I will tell you, if you look around at our nation's bridges, a lot of them are quite old. We saw one collapse in Minnesota. And we know from Senator Inhofe that he lost a constituent who took her baby for a walk, and she was walking near a bridge, and a piece broke away from the bridge and actually killed this woman. So they're dealing with fire over there, you know, and I think they're negligent over there because they had all this time to get a bill through. They've had so much time to get a bill through since they took over at the House side. They cannot get a bill supported by their own people, let alone a bipartisan bill. And now we're saying to them, and one of the editorials said it best, they said, the Senate gave the House a gift, a real gift. That was the headline, by passing a bipartisan bill. When you have Inhofe Boxer, when you have Sessions Sanders, when you have Cardin Thune, when you have this type of amazing coalition building, what are they afraid of? What are they fearful of? And all you can say is that they either don't understand the gravity of the situation, the number of jobs at stake, the number of businesses at stake. I got to tell you, the business community is really losing patience. And I stand before you, someone who had the Chamber of Commerce spend more against me in 2010 than any other candidate running in 2010. And I am working hand in glove with them now on this. You put things aside for the country, And that's what has to happen today over in the House. Yes.
Senator Boxer.
Yes.
You've gotten this question each of the past 2 days, and I know you're going to.
What are we going to do?
If the House adjourns, passing only an extension, will the Senate take it up?
Well, we're going to definitely try to attach the Senate bill onto that. Yes.
Follow up on that question. So you're saying that you and Senator Reid would attempt to bring.
No, I'm not saying that. I'll repeat what I said. We don't want an extension because an extension means job losses, and extension means bankruptcy of the fund at a faster rate. Extension is dangerous. And we will do everything we can to get the Senate bill passed. That's what I'm saying, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Yes?
Do you expect the extension to pass the Senate today if the House passes?
I'm not answering that.
Do you think that
I'm going to try to get past the Senate the Senate bill and send it back to the House. That's what we're going to try to do. But we're hopeful that they will pass the Senate bill, because right now, unless things have changed, and they could change, and you have the up-to-date info there, they don't have the votes yet for an extension. They've pulled it off twice. Yes?
So the funds expire on Monday. How soon do jobs expire?
Well, we're already seeing job losses. I have that all on this piece of paper. Thousands of jobs are already not being filled. So it's not that the jobs are already being lost from these extensions. Last question.
Okay, so just supposing when we wake up tomorrow there's a 2-month or 3-month extension, what can you do over that 2 or 3 month period to make sure we're not right back here at the end of May or at the end of June?
Well, let me say, I'm very hopeful they'll pass the Senate bill. But let me just say this. The American people will know exactly what's happening. The House members, they're the ones that have to pass it. We've already done our job. And we will keep the pressure on if that is what occurs, whether there's a shutdown or there's an extension. It's all terrible. It's all negligence on the part of the House. We will make sure the American people know the truth. There will be a truth squad in every state made up of business people and labor people, because this bill has to pass. Every day that goes on without a long-term reauthorization is pain for this economy, is pain for workers, it's pain for business. And we're going to make sure it's pain for the House of Representatives. Thank you very much.
Well done.